Welcome to another Prime Minister's press conference. As usual, the Prime Minister will give a brief opening statement, after which he will take questions from the members of the press. Please join me now in welcoming the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris.
Ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the media, in particular, thank you for coming out to this, another in the series of our regular forum for accountability to the good people, residents and citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to acknowledge the presence with me today of some members of the cabinet and high officers of the government, in particular, ministerial colleague, the Honorable Jean Hamilton, the Honorable Attorney General, Mr. Vincent Byron, Ms. Wendy Phipps, the Honorable Ian Patches-Liberd, the Cabinet Secretary is here, the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Osmond Petty, Mr. De Souza. We have our ambassadors, His Excellencies Michael Powell and Mr. Sidney Osborne, among other high representation from the government. And I also want to thank those of the High Command of the police who are here present this morning. Again, I want to say thank you. The media, of course, as part of the fourth estate, plays an important role in not only insisting upon, but facilitating stewardship and account of the people. And we, of course, in the Team Unity Administration, welcome responsible media in doing their job. This morning, I want to discuss a number of topics. Some of them we have already previewed. One of which, of course, is the Citizenship by Investment Program. The national community is aware that I have made in recent times several visits overseas in promotion of that particular program, and so I will address some matters in relation to that specific and important aspect of our economic life. I will address matters to do with our Fresh Start program by way of an update. That is a program intended to bring relief to small and medium-sized businesses by way of financial support. We will also want to address the major manifesto commitment of the $16 million to the farmer sugar workers and how we are, in fact, making progress with respect to the payment of the $16 million EC. And then I would want to perhaps alert you to some important upcoming national events, which we would want your support and the citizens and residents' support for these upcoming events. Going now to the CBI program, the citizens and residents are aware that the Team Unity Administration inherited a citizenship by investment program that was bedeviled with problems, organizational and structural in nature. The program had lost the confidence and support of the citizens and residents of the country who had become intolerant with the scandal-plagued program and repulsed by the incompetence and the dishonesty of the last administration, which led to open condemnation of the program by the government of the United States of America. And for ease of reference, I refer to the 2014 FinCEN advisory, which stated the views of the U.S. government. And also in November of that year, the public announcement coming from the government of Canada again condemning the program and, as a consequence, alerting us that our visa-free access to Canada would be immediately withdrawn, so that the program, as it were, was under pressure, internally, organizationally, and externally, in terms of the international community condemning the program and taking some dramatic actions which brought harm and disadvantage to the good citizens and holders of our passports. Systematic of things falling apart, weaknesses were discovered in the quality assurance mechanism, not only of the management system at the unit, but for the real estate market, and the ESCO management system begged for a legislative response. Service providers, developers, and agents knew in their hearts and in their minds that what pertained then was not sustainable. Change then had to come, and change came on February 16, 2015, for that we all say to God be the glory. In the last 8 months, while undertaking the challenging task of transition and consolidation of the people's government, we have quietly but positively made tremendous progress in giving a fresh start to our CBI program. We are rebuilding confidence anew to the market that was rocked by scandal, advisories, and visa withdrawal. The past, of course, according to one writer, is our predecessor's curse. Only the future is left to us to consecrate. The consecration of the future is a duty to which I am fully committed, and I do my duty in the name and for the benefit of the thousands of people all over my father's land of Nevis and my mother's land of St. Kitts, who appreciated that our country needed a fresh start, a new modus operandi, real progress, and a fair share for all. What has been the scorecard like in relation to our efforts at reforming the citizenship by investment program which we inherited? Firstly, we would say that a new ethos has evolved. We are in the business of development as a small developing country, but we have a global outlook. We aim to be the best managed and most prosperous small island state in the world. It is an honor and a privilege that we accord to others by allowing them to acquire our citizenship. In the past, I think the view was passport is for sale, and anyone who had $250,000 US dollars or $400,000 was free to come. We are saying no. This is an honor and a privilege that we are according to others by allowing them to acquire our citizenship. They therefore must respect themselves, as every citizen should, but they must respect our country, and they must do nothing to sully our country's good name or to compromise the benefits which our country and our people enjoy. And you forecast to the past, when Canada withdrew our visa, that was something that we inherited. And we say, never again must any citizen put our country in a situation where privileges and benefits that we enjoy before them are now being denied us. We want for our citizenship program a discerning investor, informed enough to appreciate that we are, in a real sense, a gem in the region, and that they should have an enduring interest in preserving this gem. In sum, the citizens who come our way by way of our CBI program, they must add value to St. Kitts and Nevis. Ours must be a discerning cadre of people with an enduring interest in making this beloved St. Kitts and Nevis the best country. This is the message that I have been articulating at home and abroad. And it is also the essence of the message that the majority got as we promoted the Citizenship by Investment program in London, in Miami, in Singapore, and Hong Kong in recent time. I want to thank CS Global for being a wonderful host last week to us in Singapore and Hong Kong, and before that in London. And equally, I am indebted to our Attorney General for his unswerving outstanding support at our debut promotion in London and over the last two events in Singapore and Hong Kong. Permanent Secretary Asbert D'Souza accompanied me to the Henley and Partners Global Residence and Citizenship Conference in Miami. And I want to thank Henley and Partners for inviting me and for the courtesies they extended to my delegation. Throughout all of these promotional activities, we met with service providers, developers, agents past and present. My delegation left Asia this weekend, confident that our CBI program is better and stronger for the reforms which we have made. We can now face the future with confidence. The progress attained so far is the result of a collaborative effort. And let me therefore thank those who have been at the forefront of this support and reform for progress. The Cabinet, and I want to single out in particular the Cabinet Secretary, because she has presided over the orderly manpower management at the Citizenship by Investment Unit. Quietly and with dignity, the reforms there have taken place. I want to thank IPSA International for diligently working on the reform agenda. I thank the Technical Committee, the Government of the United States of America, the Government of the United Kingdom, those of the EU and Canada for their helpful support. And indeed, we would not have gone very far without the support of the staff at the unit. Several agents, developers, service providers who loved this country came forward and gave my administration very useful advice about how we could improve and advance our system. I want to thank Rupert Wright and Derek Green, who guided us well on messaging. We aim to diversify and reposition the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis so that our economic fortunes are not overly reliant on the citizenship program. I was therefore delighted that our national consultation, the Chamber of Industry, made this important point. The future had always been, in the eyes of the last administration, about the sale of the passport. That is not a journey that can be continued in perpetuity. And therefore, the country, while recognizing the importance of this program, cannot put all its eggs in one basket, yet particularly a basket that is not its own. And therefore, while we will work hard to maintain and derive benefits from this program, it must not be the solo aspect of our economic life. And so we will welcome and promote foreign direct investment in other areas, such as those relating to the diversification of our tourism plant. For example, establishing a viable medical tourism infrastructure, introducing ICT entities to St. Kitts and Nevis, and giving our country a fresh start in food production. That too was part of the message that we left in Asia and in London and in North America. We are open to doing business, and not just business in relation to the citizenship program. We want, as it were, the long-standing notion of foreign direct investment, representing people with capital and monies, coming to our country for profitable opportunities and bringing their monies here without risk, without reputational damage. That too has to be part of the way forward. And in that regard, our tax incentives mechanisms will be revisited to give support to pioneering economic activity in new industries such as geothermal energy. The Honorable Ian Patches Libert has been working sensibly and diligently to bring geothermal into realization into St. Kitts and Nevis. And I want to thank him and ask him to press on because time is of essence. Since assuming office, our administration has been working not only to create this new ethos with respect to the citizenship program, not only to promote a new philosophical thinking in relation to what our citizenship means, but also, and more specifically, to bring some substantive reforms in these key critical areas. Organizational reform. And at the heart of those reforms were to ensure that the unit was fit for purpose. Whatever the organization may be, people will make the difference. And so we set about ensuring, through a judicious selection of personnel, that we could enhance the capacity and capability of the unit to deliver excellent service. Services competently and professionally delivered, not some of the times, but all of the time. And that has been one of the criticisms we faced when we took over. You take any service provider randomly, they reported that the service quality was not good. We have dozens of letters. I do, the Attorney General does, and other members of the Cabinet in relation to people's perception of the support, the service quality there, and we have moved to fix it. What have we done? Specifically, we look at the skill sets that were required, and we did so in collaboration with the international entity IPSA. And we brought to that unit skill sets in immigration, in finance, in international banking, in customer service, in taxation, importantly in anti-money laundering. All these skill sets are now at the command of the unit. So a new sense of confidence and focus has emerged. And the service providers are now feeling it and are reporting it. We have the evidence to show. Importantly, because this is now a major driver of economic activity, we want to ensure that at all times the department performs that way. Training now is being embedded as part of the culture of the unit. I want to hail the case management system, which we have been able to introduce, so that for the first time, this unit will be accessible to those who require support and service 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. We unveil this system on the 16th of October at the Marriott Hotel. We wait to see the tremendous transformation and results which this would bring to our program. And we say, no one in the region, no one in the world now offer this particular service. I can report that we have made substantial progress on the institutional strengthening through action to date and all of the recommendations put forward by IPSA International. We now have a technical committee in place to address issues of denial. This was one matter that bedeviled the program. In the cases where applications were about to be denied or were denied, what do you do? And there was no organized system. There has since been established a technical committee, and that technical committee is in keeping with the SRO of 2015. The committee now meets regularly, and it has at its head Mr. D'Souza, Ms. Karen Hughes, Ms. Tevinis Coker, Ms. Cecile Jeffers, Mr. Michael Penny, and Mr. Orin Roberts represent a diverse skill sets identified by law and not by us. By law. Importantly, that is what the law determined. The membership should look like and where they should come from. So representation from the Office of the Attorney General, Foreign Affairs, because of course our brand had been damaged as a result of the exposés by the US and the Canadian government. And we have people, of course, coming from the unit and elsewhere. The second regime of reforms are of a legislative nature. And to date, there have been two principal amendments that we have brought forward. The St. Christopher and Nevis Citizenship Amendment Bill. This was amended early in our new life as an administration, and the essence of that is to empower the government legislatively to prohibit from participating in our program any entity that has been designated as engaging in terrorism or other criminal acts. Given the amorphous nature of terrorist entities, further refinement of this legislation is to occur. We are having the development of the ISIS and all other alphabetic soup acronyms being attributed to entities involved in terrorism. And so the legislation going forward may need to be amended to reflect these evolving creatures that are coming on board. One areas in which persons expressed concern had to do with the escrow accounts, that within the system, people were holding monies which were intended to facilitate payments for people's economic citizenship. And these monies were not always available when demands were being made for these. As a result of this, we have put to the Parliament the St. Christopher and Nevis Citizenship CBI Escrow Accounts Bill, which is intended to ensure that the resources committed in particular to the real estate purchases are used only, I repeat, only for that intended purpose. We have a responsibility to protect the integrity of the program, and we have received feedback on this bill. The Attorney General and I are prepared to meet with those who have an interest in this particular matter before the convening of the Parliament to give the final reading to this particular element of on the legislative agenda. The third aspect really of the round of categories of the reforms I would put under the rubric of recalibrating our international relationship. And we said from the beginning, and in our manifesto, we said clearly that recalibrating our relations with the UK, with the USA, with the EU and Canada were among our foreign affairs priorities. That, of course, is a work in progress. We shall always cooperate with our allies in the national interest and in furtherance of a broader commitment to global security, peace, and security. So our continuing participation, for example, in the Global Forum, the passage of FATCA, and our insistence that we want only legitimate businesses, and our insistence on the best due diligence practices, all these help to renew the confidence of our allies and our citizens in the program and by extension in St. Kitts and Nevis. With all of these countries, we are pursuing quiet diplomacy to resolve issues to mutual satisfaction whenever these issues arise. Yes, these countries had serious concerns. Two at least publicly did something about it that was disadvantageous to St. Kitts and Nevis. The others, you would have heard the British said clearly at OTI that they were under tremendous pressure to sanction St. Kitts and Nevis. For the last 8 months, the benefit of the quiet diplomacy has been that no sanction has come forward. Not that all of the issues have been resolved, because we are in the process of completing the reform, which should make the program much more acceptable to our international partners. but quiet diplomacy has helped us thus far. I want to make the point that we have been in St. Kitts and Nevis pioneers in what is now considered a global industry. And we must restore the legacy of leadership and prestige by our ability to attract, going forward, only the best for St. Kitts and Nevis. And I want to make the point that sometimes it is better for our small country's good name and reputation to have 10 investors bring in $1 billion than to have 1,000, each of them perhaps bring in maybe $500. Because you see, when you're in a market where you wash your foot and come, as we would say, you expose the country to tremendous challenges. And the sum total of that, sometimes it's not always the number, but the quality of the investment that has to do with its sustainability, the minimization of the opportunities for the country to be embarrassed across a large number of unknown elements versus a few persons well known with their own reputation to protect. And it was in keeping with the need, as it were, to provide leadership and to ensure the prestige of St. Kitts and Nevis remains that we hosted the inaugural regional CBI conference here. And when we did so, some with a narrow view said, well, why are they inviting Antigua and St. Lucia and Dominica and Grenada? These are the competitors. They are going to compete against St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, when you are the best, you welcome the competition. When we know where we stand, we welcome all contenders because we say among all the competition, St. Kitts and Nevis stands unique. We have strengths. We have first mover advantage. We have entered the market. We have done more than most in real estate development, in every area of it. We have seen the program at its best, and we have certainly seen it at its worst. From those lessons, we can re-energize, reorganize, and restructure our CBI, taking it, as it were, from the valley of dry bones to a position of glory for our country. But our task in providing leadership for that was to say that we need to establish industry standards, codes of best practices in relation to the program, and avoid the bastardization of an industry that is so important to us. We were concerned to say to our partners in the Caribbean, it is quite easy to get on a march to the bottom. It is quite easy for any country to wake up tomorrow and say, we will offer a citizenship by investment program. All we do is change the prices. So from 200 to 100 to 80 to 20, you're in a march to the bottom. Who benefits? What does it do to the significance of our citizenship? What does it do to what we are attempting to do? We have signaled that we will not be a part of the march to the bottom, and we will not be timid in saying this to our allies, and we will not be timid in seeking advice and support for our program. We appreciate, as a small country, that no island stands alone, and no country is too strong to warrant the support of another. And so we shall be open and transparent with our citizens and allies, bearing the broader national interests in mind. We have, in our view, reached a critical juncture in the CBI program. I use the analogy of the valley of dry bones from the book of Ezekiel. Somewhere after Ezekiel, we moved to a better land. And that is where we are now taking the program to a better place, a place where we have begun to regain the confidence of the world. And though we are not fully out of the woods, we can breathe easy again. Our program is doing legitimate business, And for the record, despite all of the hue and cry about its untimely passing, the truth is, this unit in St. Kitts and Nevis is still the largest processor of applications in the region. For the record, despite all the mountains to the contrary, the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program is still the largest processor of applications in the region. That is what the statistics will show. Quickly, the Sugar Workers Restoration Fund. This fund, we know, was intended to provide 16 million EC dollars to former sugar workers aggrieved with the payout of 2005-2006. The reports I have indicate that so far, just under $10 million, 9.3 million has been paid out to 1,560 beneficiaries. 1,560 persons have received checks under this program. And do a quick flashback to 2005-2006, where a total of just under 968, to be precise, beneficiaries to the program. In a short time, 1,560 persons have already benefited. The past is the predecessor's curse. Only the future we can consecrate. And this program was intended to consecrate, to bring amends to the injustice perceived by the former sugar workers. More have been paid in the short time. I want to point out that even the shut-ins have been assisted, and $703,971 were paid out to 43 shut-ins. Thank God they are still alive to receive some element of moral and economic justice, if I may adopt the phraseology of Mr. Maitland. I want to further point out that there were 46 third-party claims by overseas residents of just under $300,000. So they too have benefited. People who have been abroad, who applied, who satisfied the criteria, they were paid. And with respect to those who are deceased, the statistics reveal that claims on their behalf, their children, their cousin, and for the record, I made no claim on behalf of no deceased member of my family, father, mother, sister, brother, none for the record, so I shall receive no benefit in that regard, never mind the mischief that has been propagated. Deceased persons, there were some that qualified as small estate claims, that is under 5,000. 35 of these have been processed at just under $100,000. For large estate claims, that is claims over 5,000, 55 of those have already been processed, and the total there is $774,013. That is just over $750,000 went to those who you'd consider large estate claims. So this is significant movement. And early in the presentation on this, we did set the category of deceased as a special category because obviously when someone dies, there are issues of estate, and the Attorney General is better placed to explain that. And so a little more care and attention has to be paid to ensure that we do not become liable for misappropriation of the due to a particular estate. But we are working through these methodologically. We are working through these in a systematic way. We recognize that there was a potential for legal burden in recruiting lawyers. What did we do? We get a group of lawyers from outside the office of the Honorable Attorney General and from private practice to come to the sugar workers' office, as it were, to provide free service in getting the legal documentation together. So those who have not yet been sorted out, of course, you are free to go to private lawyers and deal with this particular matter. If you don't want to go through that expense, we will do the facilitation. So bear with us. We are working out in a way that does not create liability. And quickly now, the Fresh Start program at the Development Bank, I am able to report that as the end of October, 92 applications have been approved by the bank, totaling $8.2 million. I will rephrase that. There have been 92 successful applications so far. $8.2 million have been dispersed. $8.2 million already in the hands of some 92 persons who have been processed under our program intended to help small and medium-sized businesses. The applicants have hailed from Nevis and they have come from St. Kitts. 21 so far from Nevis, 71 from St. Kitts. What are the areas in which these small entities have shown an interest? They have shown an interest in starting up of professional practices. That was interesting when you look at the list. Young people come back as professional, wanting to start out on their own, with no wherewithal to go to any of the commercial banks, have gone to this program and secured the resources to start up their professional practices. We have persons who have come for purchase of vehicles for taxi operations, business expansion, catering, farming and fishing operations, the purchase of equipment, and at least 2 in relation to the production of poultry and eggs. This is an interesting mix. And of course, this diversity is to be welcomed because it says that our ordinary people, thanks to Team Unity, are now being given a fair share and a fresh start at prosperity and entrepreneurship. Finally, I want to turn to some upcoming national events and invite the community to render support to them. Remembrance Day service at the War Memorial. This takes place this Sunday, November the 8th. I think that is the date. And we are inviting persons to come out. The program would normally start promptly at 7. The minute of silence is at 8. We want persons to come long before that from 7 so that we could start promptly at 8 to remember the dead for their contribution to the peace and prosperity of the world. And then we have the launch of the Criminal Justice Strategic Board on Wednesday this week, November 11th. This is an important part of the enhancement of the institutional response to crime, lawlessness, deviance in the country, and our efforts to bring a more structured approach, bringing all the entities and institutions together to deal with the challenges which we face. And the end result, we hope, would be a more wholesome society, which requires input from all of us. And so some of those critical institutions, the police, the education sector, and so on and so the like, they would be represented on this occasion. The Attorney General is giving leadership to this, and so on this matter, he will take any questions which are there. I want also to indicate that if all goes well, we are looking at hosting the remarkable teens in their usual recognition of the remarkable 25, and that should happen on November 12th, which is Thursday. We would want to invite the national community to pay attention and give support to the 25 most remarkable teens. This is a program that has been in place for some time now, and we are pleased as a new government to be in a position to continue and to recognize our young people who are shining. We are intending that the National Assembly would meet on Tuesday, November 17th. Again, all these, of course, depend on the exigencies, and we're hoping that we will be able to keep these dates. But this is what the national profile looks at this moment in time. I am advised that a member of the media in Mr. Dawood Byron has passed today. I want to, from this particular setting, extend condolences to his family, his friends, and well-wishers, and to say to them that the country mourns and remain in prayer that the good God of mercy will be with them at this point of discomfort and mourning. I had the honor earlier this year at a function at the Government House to be part of a ceremony in which he was recognized nationally for his contribution to journalism and to community activity. I congratulated him then and his family. And so at this point of bereavement, I want them to know that the Prime Minister and his cabinet and the country at large do mourn with them and wish them well. Could we observe a minute of silence in his memory? Thank you.